Hello, mathematicians. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this quiz. The quiz is the green quiz. First thing that I'm going to notice here is that this is addition. Since this is addition, I don't need to worry about any of my parentheses. So I can go ahead and drop those. I'm going to rewrite this so it looks a little bit neater. So negative 4y plus 7 plus y minus 3. Now, when I go to combine my like terms, remember they have to look the same. So I have a negative 4y and I have a positive y. Now that y technically has a 1 in front of it. So when I bring these two together, I've got a negative 4 and a positive 1. Since they are different signs, I am going to subtract. So I have a negative 3y. Then I look at my numbers. The numbers are all by themselves. I've got a positive 7 and a negative 3. When I bring those together, again, I have different signs. Positive 7 minus 3 is going to be a positive 4. And I have now combined my like terms and I am done. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 2. Number 2 is very, very different. Number 2 has a negative. Since there's a negative, I do have to do some work before I can remove the parentheses. This negative sign needs to be distributed to everything on the inside because I'm not just subtracting 2x, I'm also subtracting negative 4. So when I distribute that negative to all the terms on the inside, it actually causes all the terms on the inside to become their opposites. So this positive 2x becomes a negative 2x. And that negative 4 becomes a positive 4 because I'm taking away a negative, which is the same as adding 4. Now on this side, there is that, I guess you could say kind of invisible positive. So since this is positive, I don't need my parentheses. And so I'm going to rewrite that, 5x squared minus 3x. Now this one's a little bit tricky. One area that I saw mistakes was the combining of like terms. Notice that this exponent is 2. Since that exponent is 2, I cannot combine it with my negative 3x or my negative 2x because those have exponents of 1, and that makes them different. They are not like terms. So the 5x squared actually has nothing to be combined with because it's all by itself. So I'm going to put 5x squared. Then I'm going to take a look and notice that I have a negative 3x and I have a negative 2x. Now those two are the same signs. When they're the same signs, I add and keep the sign. So negative 3 and a negative 2 become a negative 5, and I just keep the x. I don't do anything with the exponents because we are just adding and subtracting. The x stays the same. Finally, I have one little lonesome number all by itself over here. And since it's all by itself, there's nothing to combine it with, and it becomes a positive 4. And that is our final answer. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, notice that we have two sets of parentheses sitting next to each other. Since they're sitting next to each other, that does mean multiplication. And with multiplication, I need to do a lot of distribution. So for me, it is easier to go ahead and make a box and to use the area model because it helps me to stay organized. Now you may have a different method and that is okay as long as you are able to get to the correct answer. Now my first set of terms is 3m minus 2. So I'm going to write 3m minus 2. My second set of terms is 6m plus 7, so 6m, and then my positive 7. Now remember, this is all multiplication. So I'm going to look at my 3m, and I'm going to multiply it by 6m. So 3 times 6 is 18. I am doing m times m. Since it's m times m, I am going to add my exponents. My next box, I have a negative 2 and a positive 6, so that becomes negative 12. Now there is one m, there's not an m here. Since there's one m, I'm just going to write m. Remember that technically has an m to the 1. My third box, I've got a 3 times the 7, which is 21. And again, I only have one m, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that one m right there. And in my final box, again, just like a multiplication chart, -2 times 7 is going to be a -14. Now, it is time to combine like terms. We've done our multiplication. Now it's combining like terms. And I do notice that I have a couple that can be combined. I notice that I have -12m and a +21m. Those two can be combined when I write my final answer. So I'm going to start with my 18m squared because we've got to start with the highest power. If I have a -12 and a +21, they are different signs, so I'm going to subtract. And I'm going to keep it positive because the 21 has the larger absolute value. 9m, I don't need to write the 1. And then I have a -14. And there is our final answer. Okay, number 4. Number 4 has a fraction bar. That means a couple of different things. First thing, since it has a fraction bar, that does mean division. So I am dividing these three terms by 3x. Now, a fraction bar is like a grouping symbol. I do have to remove it before I can do all the work up here. So one way that we can remove it and do the work is to split up our three terms. So that is going to be the first thing that I do. I notice I have three terms. I have a 3x cubed, I have a 6x squared, and I have a 15x. So I'm going to write three different fractions. They all get the denominator of 3x. So I'm going to write 3x cubed over 3x. I do keep my subtraction sign. I have 6x squared divided by 3x, and I keep my subtraction sign. Then I have 15x divided by 3x. Now, there are two things that we need to pay attention to here. There is our coefficients. Our coefficients are going to be divided like normal because they are just regular division signs. Our variables with exponents have to be dealt with differently. Remember, they have their own set of rules. So when we are dividing numbers with exponents, we subtract the exponents. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. Then x to the third divided by x to the first is the same as x to the 3 minus 1, so x squared. Then I have 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then x to the second divided by x to the first is just x. Keep my signs. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then notice that this x over x is a 1. Anything divided by itself is a 1. So that's telling me to multiply this by 1, which we know then it just stays 5. So I don't need to worry about that one. Get rid of that. And I actually don't need this one either, so I'm going to make it part of my box. There we go. X squared minus 2x minus 5 is our final answer. Okay, and our last one. Again, we do have our fraction bar. So I do need to separate my terms in the numerator with my denominator. So I am going to go ahead and write three different fractions, if it helps you to see that. Some of you can mentally do this. Some of you need to write it out. I'm one that likes to write it out still. I also think it looks really cool once it's all worked out. So 7x cubed divided by my x. I keep my positive sign. 3x squared divided by x. Keep my positive sign. Then I have 4x divided by x. Okay, so again, I go back and look at all of my coefficients. Look at, there's a 1, there's a 1, there's a 1, but anything divided by 1 is itself. So I don't actually have to worry about my coefficients. They all just stay the same. But what I do have to do is look at my x's with variables. So 7 divided by 1 is 7. X to the third divided by x to the first is just going to be x to the second. So I'm literally just taking one x away in each of these problems. And then 3 divided by 1 is 3. X to the first Now this one, 4 divided by 4, or 1 is 4, but notice that this is a 1. X divided by x is a 1. So again, I can write times 1, which 4 times 1 is still 4. So I am just going to leave it as 4. So it's just taking away the x. And that is my final answer. Okay, if you need to, go back and watch the video to find any other areas that you may have made mistakes so you're ready for the test on Friday.